But it seems as though you're very clear.
It's really, yeah. I don't think I could wait till our call. I don't even know where to start, but from your message, the words effortless being, I don't even know which video was the first one I saw.
Mm.
And as it is always very often the case when you hear truth, that you can't remember it.
Yes.
Right? You don't know what you heard. But the word effortless being, it just struck right inside, because I had been trying so hard for so long, and I had been close, all of those things. I can talk about that in a second as well. But it just clicked. It was like effortless. Oh, and that was there. Before there was just too much tension and straining.
Yes.
So there was looking at the awareness, I thought.
Yes. Yeah.
But it was so tense, and it's, yeah. Oh, I can't. Yeah, I have been, I don't know, for a couple of days already. I've been looking for problems, and I've also been. I'm checking if Romy is still there somewhere, but it's not there. It's really, it's really unbelievable. And yeah, I was just thinking before our call. That's also funny because I didn't prepare, which normally I would. So I would be anxious as well. Well, personality, I would say, is more of an introvert.
Yes.
So phone calls, I don't like phone calls. All of that. I play the role well at work. It's part of it, but normally there would be some level of anxiety.
Yeah.
But there was maybe one or two clouds quickly, but it wasn't. There's just nobody there that normally would be worrying.
Fantastic.
And
Fantastic.
that's really amazing.
Yeah.
And what I wanted to share, it's really funny, but the talk you had with Krista Ruffoni.
Yes. Yes.
That was already after something got softened from listening to you and hearing the effortless being. But I was driving to work, and it was at the very end, and it wasn't even self-realization topic, right? It was just a regular call, but I just wanted to hear you again, so that's why I listened. And then she said, and she was really like almost outraged by it. She was like, "Yeah, but you are already it. Like, you are it already." And I was laughing in the car. There was laughter. It just didn't stop. It was unbelievable. It's nothing that nobody else hasn't said before somehow.
But it seems really outrageous that we haven't noticed it.
Really.
Doesn't it? It's just unbelievable.
It's unbelievable. And I hear myself say the same things that annoyed me so much in all those years. That
hearing other people say them.
Well, yeah, that it's so simple and that it's so obvious and it's in your face, and it wasn't. And I still get this thought sometimes that it's so mean, that it is so complicated as well, because there's so much suffering going on, really.
Yes.
I mean, it's...
Yeah, well, there's a reason for that, actually.
Yeah. Is there? Yeah.
Which we can have a little chat about.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah, that it would be... Yeah.
So how do you feel in terms of... So when do you feel that clarity came? How long ago was that? Was it a few weeks ago now?
Yeah, it was just after I emailed you.
Wow, amazing.
Well, yeah, so end of November, I think, somewhere there.
That's great. It's quite often like that. It's as though there's a real commitment, and then it can just happen, just it shows up then.
Yes, yeah.
That's fantastic.
It is fantastic.
And how have things been since then? It's not too long, but maybe in the last couple of weeks or so.
Yes, it's really interesting, because it's like I have to talk to you about the movie. Like, I have to tell you what the movie was about, which is always boring. So funny. But something I just wanted to share, and it's also part of how it has been going. You were mentioning John Wheeler and what made you realize. And of course, I checked the podcast, the radio.
Yes.
And I was like, oh yeah, okay, the same things I have heard for so many times. And it didn't somehow get in, but I already had the effortless being from you. So, you know?
Yes.
And this is really weird, but John has the same voice that Kurt Cobain had.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Speak like talking. It's the same voice. It's the same intonation. It's the same accent. I can't even explain. It was just, I don't know why that's important. I just have to tell you somehow that I was so perplexed that it really sounds literally like him, that somehow something hooked to the voice. Mm-hmm. And it's a really beautiful voice. It's really clear.
Yeah.
And where you, I have the feeling, are more like patient and soft, and you also go along, like you take people along on wherever they're coming from.
Yes.
You know, it's all allowed, let's say. It's all,
yes.
but you do get to the point.
Yes.
And he is somehow more ruthless. Like, back to the thing, I don't care, back.
Yeah. Yeah.
And somehow I also needed to hear that.
Yeah, but the legacy is still there, because quite a few people have realized from watching that or listening to the podcast.
Incredible. But everything else he does with Charlie Hayes, and I've seen everything that's there on YouTube, let's say. But
yes.
Yeah, it's really incredible. It's wow.
Well, John is, as you say, he's very ruthless, and it's the most simple approach. I guess things are slightly different because I tend to address the human realm of experience as well. So, you know, I look at ways to alleviate suffering, for instance, and you know, that was really following realization. There was a recognition that it wasn't quite what I expected, because we always felt that with realization it would be the complete end to suffering, but the invitations continued, and so that gave rise to a question. And the closest solution I'd found prior to that was Eckhart Tolle's concept of the pain body. You know, that we can, you know, that there are these kind of energy frequencies which we can align with, and then we have that experience. And I looked more deeply into that, and then discovered ways to be able to transform things. And but it's all come effortlessly. That's the great thing. It's just sort of revealed itself. But it makes a big difference, because my feeling is there are two aspects. The one is, which you've noticed, is self-realization. Really, when you see it, is utterly simple. It's just a case of mistaken identity. In that it's really that effortlessness is the foundation, and then effort is an option. But because we're all so engaged in effort, then we overlook the effortlessness. And it is quite, and also it's something that's emerged in the past couple of years, is the distinction between impersonal being, which we rest as always, and the personal mode of experience, which is optional, as you say, the movie. Then in that distinction, then there can be realization quite easily too, because once impersonal being or impersonal awareness is seen, then it's seen to be distinct from the personal realm. So that results in realization. So, but that's amazing. So in the past couple of weeks, has it been fairly smooth for you, or have there been one or two little invitations into old movie theaters?
Too good to be true, I would almost say, which already shows you where the little thought might come in.
Yes.
Like, you know, like I made two lists. One is from Effortless Being, and the other one is from Rommy.
Oh yes.
And so you know, just somehow it had to be written. And whenever I feel like really soaked into Effortless Being, because sometimes it's there more. I don't know. It's felt more, especially if there's no distraction from people, which is something I want to talk or ask you about.
Yes.
But then I write down Effortless Being has no attributes, but it has certain feelings like freshness, newness, aliveness, joy.
Yes.
Lighthearted, all of those. So that I write it as I feel it. And on the other hand, I wrote down all the triggers, all the good old, you know,
the invitations.
These are the hooks, these are the invitations. So not only when they came, but also when I just remembered, like, oh wait, this is one that might come at one point. So let's already write it down. What has come? Oh yeah. So if they did come up sometimes, for now still, it has been just recognized as, oh yeah, there's this one.
Yes. Yeah.
And what has helped me so much from you is, and that's really something I have never seen before, it's not my thoughts. Yes. This one is huge. It's huge.
Yes.
First I was like, yeah, right. That's, you know, it can't be. That's nice, but you know, I know my thoughts and they are very personal and they are, you know, blah, 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 wherever they're coming from. And then I thought, let's entertain it because I trust you. I know what you're saying is correct. I know it. I know it's, I recognize it. I remember it.
Yes.
So I thought, let's give this one a try. And it's really funny. It's this, that's it. I mean, it's not my thoughts. So if it's not my thoughts, I don't need to do anything with them.
No.
And that includes suppressing or fighting them, which is what I did in the past.
Yes.
You know?
Well, it's wonderful you've recognized that because that can be quite a stumbling block for many people who've been involved in things like releasing and welcoming and, you know, those kind of things. Because they tend to reinforce the personal realm. Yeah,
for sure. And something I've always misunderstood, and I don't know how, because now when I'm reading books again, I think, oh, they already said that, I think. But I also thought that self-realization means you don't have thoughts. And as long as you have thoughts, it's wrong, it's not fully blah, 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 or, you know?
Yeah.
And that has also kept me for years. Like after the Gangaji thing that I mentioned in my email.
Yes. Yeah.
That was the one.
Yes.
The moment thoughts came back, it was like, oh my God, there we go. I lost it. Or it was just a momentary experience. It wasn't real, or So, but to realize, but I have to hear, or had to hear it from some sort of authority, you know, with the conviction that you have and that John also has clearly.
Yes.
Yes, there are thoughts. So what?
Yeah, exactly. Well, effortless being is the foundation, and then thoughts can come and go, but it doesn't matter whether they're there or not, really.
Yeah.
But something I'd just like to mention. So in terms of our true nature, so our true nature is attributeless being. So that is just like a field of infinite potential. Effortless being is another way of describing the body of wisdom. So are you familiar with the koshas?
Yes, from the videos,
From the videos, that's great. So it's really that we all remain as attributeless being, which is really just awareness aware of itself, or the knower, the means of knowing in the known. And then the first amendment is the body of bliss, which is just awareness aware of infinite bliss. The next kosha is the body of wisdom or effortless being. So the difference between our true nature, which is attributeless, and the body of wisdom is the body of wisdom is still an infinite field, as the body of bliss is an infinite impersonal field. But all forms arise within the body of wisdom. So all thoughts arise within the body of wisdom, all emotions, sensations, perceptions, everything we're aware of is actually arising within the body of wisdom. And it's all arising effortlessly. It's just that because we were conditioned to engage the mind, then the mind's become involved, and it complicates everything. But the simplicity is effortless being. The difference between one's true nature and the body of wisdom is one's true nature, there are no forms arising. There is just awareness aware of itself. And then effortless being is where all forms can arise. So it's the sort of practicality of being able to function from one's infinite nature while engaging in the world, because forms can still arise. So the thoughts can arise. They could be effortless impersonal awareness of a busy mind, or effortless impersonal awareness of a quiet mind, or impersonal awareness of an emotion, or impersonal awareness of no emotions.
Yeah.
So, you know that already. I didn't really
Well,
tell you that, but
no, yes. Because what I don't, is it happening simultaneously, the body of wisdom and the body of bliss, or is it like a different?
Well, they're
Or...
available. They are available, and they tend to overlap. So with so the way it tends to happen is we kind of we lose the fascination with the dualistic realm. So the dualistic realm is the mental, emotional, and physical combined. So that's like a self-contained structure, really. It's like a matrix.
Yeah.
Whereas the body of wisdom and the body of bliss, they're described as being independent, but actually they're very close. And so if we take what you're able to do is just remain as effortless being. So there is it takes no effort to be. It's what we are before anything is arising, really. But then it tends to be that the option with effortless being is that we move more towards feelings which are enhancing. So it tends to be more towards feelings of unity or love or compassion. And then things like creativity or inspiration, intuition, synchronicities come through, telepathy. So all of those things can arise in the body of wisdom. But then as we have experiences of unity, so really with unity consciousness is very simple. So in this moment, it's really just noticing that actually you're remaining as an infinite field of effortless awareness and beingness, and all forms arise within that. So everything is arising within you in reality. So even though we've been conditioned to believe that the one form is Romy and the other one is David, but from impersonal effortless awareness, it's just an infinite field of awareness and beingness within which those. So the one we've been conditioned to believe that the one is the wind is that actually you just experience them as arising on the same ocean of awareness. Did you lose any of that then, Romy? The picture froze a little bit then.
The picture froze, yeah.
Okay.
I lost it.
That's okay. But did the okay. So do you feel that you can see that that forms just arise and they're all arising within you in reality? That because you're the infinite field of awareness, which is effortless. And one of the forms appearing in that is the body mind of Romy, but but all forms are arising within that same ocean. So all human beings, all animals, all trees, everything, the whole universe, all dimensions are arising within that single infinite field which you've always remained as.
That one I have maybe 40% of the time, especially when I'm listening to you or when I'm looking for it.
Yes.
Is it is there being? Am I aware of being? Is there awareness of being?
Yes.
Then it's right there.
Yes.
But that's also one of the questions I had. Like, what has stayed the whole time is that truly there is no me.
Yes.
That one has not shifted. That I can say from experience. That I really can't find it, which is really funny.
Yes.
So sometimes I just look to just to give me a giggle.
Yes.
And also to test, I have to admit. Yeah. And the other one, there, that's why the question, like, what do I do so as not to grasp or cling to it? That it's like a beautiful experience, which I want to have all the time.
Yes.
But I notice I make an image out of it, and then it's not it. So I'm not there all the time. That one, what you said, I know it, but it's not there all the time.
Well, it's what you describe is the truth, really, which is that the absence of the false self or the me is realization. So it's just existing in your true infinite nature. It's, as Nisargadatta says, remain as the I am. When he says that, he means the I am actually is the infinite impersonal being. So we remain as that because we never actually became the me. There's never been a me. No. But the difference between what I was explaining, which is unity consciousness experience, that's available, but it isn't something you need to try to stabilize, because actually the ability to function in the different modes, whether it's in the personal realm or whether it's whether it's in unity consciousness, that gives variety to experience. So we don't need to feel as though we need to try to stabilize them. In fact, any desire to stabilize that kind of experience actually puts us, it's a kind of backdoor into duality, because we're back into trying to stabilize something and then disregard something else. So the key is always effortlessness, because effortlessness just enables us to just remain as we are. And then it doesn't really matter whether we're, sometimes it depends on, as you've noticed, I'm sure, being alone is, just remaining as effortless being is just so absolutely simple. When we engage with people and they're talking to us from a sense of individuality, then we have to engage to some degree with that conversation, because we can't impose realization in that way.
No.
So, but it's just really being easy about that. And what you'll find is that sometimes you'll sense there's no receptivity, and then other times you'll sense that there is receptivity, so you can open the conversation up a bit. And you'll just know that intuitively, really.
That's right.
Great.
That is a little something I did want to ask you, because what I said in the email, that many years ago I went to the satsangs as well of Eli and Gangaji, so from the Ramana Maharshi, etc., which was great. And I also now notice how great it is what you're doing. The one-on-one is something that is just, that just works better, I think, for a lot of people. Because once you're in the whole group of people with the satsang, and you get this whole entourage and the whole, there's a special high being walking in, and there are always people close to them, the disciples, that don't let you get close, and they want to sit in the front, and fighting who can put the flowers on the table. And I saw that a couple of times, and I had to stay away. I was like, that can't be it. And it's always a bit of a show element, right? So if someone is asking a question, they have to go on stage, which is uncomfortable. And there's a performance going on, and there's the teacher and the student, and so that one didn't quite work. But what I did have from listening also to Gangaji and reading books, etc., there was something back then but it was, I don't know. I'll just say how it was. I did question the I thought back then from Ramana Maharshi. I was really like, what if? Could it be that the I thought, like, what is that actually? And that's what did bring me to certain, like, so I had the same realization, however you would call it, back then. Also no problems, etc. But then there's fear I currently feel sometimes popping up, is back then it really looks like I did lose it. So, talking to people, getting into the world, and then at one point you wake up and you think, oh, it was a dream, or it wasn't real, or how, I don't know what happened. So there is some fear currently that this will happen again, because it took like 10, 12 years to be here now with you.
Right. So, well, actually, you can't go back once you see it, because there's a sequence, really, which is the infinite self is revealing itself to itself. So the way it does that is it leads us through different forms of knowledge and experience. And it can only be in that particular direction and that particular sequence, because the perfection, if you look back to see the way it's been a kind of unfolding in a way to realization, the self has revealed itself to itself. So the interesting thing with, say, Ramana Maharshi in that tradition is it doesn't really make the distinction between impersonal being and the personal realm of experience. So the way it can appear as though you lose it is because the distinction hasn't been made clear between the personal realm of experience and impersonal being, because at that stage it's still, because they're using questions like who am I, who am I is actually reinforcing the personal, because it should really be what am I, because it's a what rather than a who.
That's so true.
So I don't know how anyone realizes their infinite impersonal nature as a result of asking the question who am I, because it's asking the wrong question.
That's right.
So that's how it appears as though it comes and goes, because there is, what was there is the clarity of realization, and it was realization of impersonal being. But because the distinction between the impersonal mode and impersonal being hadn't been clarified at that stage, then it seems as though the individual has lost something. Because everything at that stage is still experiential, and it relates to the individual rather than the realization of your infinite impersonal nature. So this time you can't lose it, because it's knowing that the foundation of effortless being is just totally permanent. Once you've seen that, you can't go back to believing that you're an individual again. But you can, it's paradoxical in a way, because you can still step fully into the role of Romy. So when Romy is with her friends and family and people that you love and people you know, you can still play that role. You never become Romy, but you're still very proficient at playing that role.
Even more proficient. Well, I don't care.
Well, that's the fantastic thing, isn't it? Because we set free, because all of the things we're conditioned into, which is the idea that we have to maintain this personality and we have to maintain certain kind of virtuous behavior and this kind of thing. I mean, generally, obviously, from unity consciousness, life is totally harmless, really, because you see everyone as oneself. So, the general principle is that you do no harm whatsoever. There can sometimes be situations where you need to appear to be angry, or you need to be firm, with people, and that's just absolutely fine. But there isn't any amendment. It's just being totally what you are, and then Rom is set free. And it becomes a lot of fun then, because lots of aspects, I sense that with you, actually. There is some, there's a slightly naughty side, which is just fun. And it's nice for that just to be totally free, really.
And there's no residue. That's also a nice thing, So
exactly.
Something happens and there's a response, and I'm like, oh, that's interesting. Or it's and that trust is getting more and more.
Yes.
That's something I found really difficult. That you were saying, there is really no decision maker. There's no thinker. That's what I saw clearly. Yes. There are thoughts, and thanks really for saying no, not my thoughts. They're not personal. That was it. But then that was like the decision. Come on, that can't be. So I tested it, and I just didn't decide. I didn't decide anything. So when a question was asked, I just stayed quiet and to see what happens.
Yes.
And the decision always came.
Fantastic. It's really interesting the way you describe experiences along the way, because even the things you described when you were in the group meetings, that feeling that you didn't really want to buy into the idea of kind of specialness and hierarchy and that kind of thing, that you knew then. So it's really your intuition which has guided you right the way through.
Wow.
So that's actually the thing that is completely reliable, and it's even more reliable now.
Yeah.
But yeah, the thoughts, that's a different realm really, which we can have a look at. But it's just a matter of the sequence really. We've got as much time as you want, so
thank you.
we can address everything really. So the the way it became apparent that the thoughts aren't ours is experientially really, because when we see effortless being as the foundation and that we can function from there, then you realize the dualistic realm is optional. So you see that the mental realm, which is the astral realm, the emotional realm, which is the etheric realm, and then the physical realm, they're a kind of construct. It's like a self-contained system operating in there. So that's the dualistic realm really, whereas unity exists within effortless being and within the body of bliss. So once you've seen and realized that you are resting as effortless being, then it's possible to enhance one's experience, because the ability to gravitate towards bliss rather than towards the conceptual realm is something which you realize is easily available to you. So it's happening. I sense it's happening already with you. So the experiences, like the sense of freedom you have, as you say, where you don't care about trying to maintain any consistent image or anything, which is so freeing.
It's funny. Yeah.
But there are certain things. There are certain portals really into the realm of bliss. So they tend to be things like intuition, but quite often it's to do with the sort of more refined feelings. So things like love and compassion and unity, because if you think that bliss is the furthest away from the dualistic realm in a way, so it's moving away from anything conceptual and just onto the sort of finer feeling level, which is that's just kind of arising, and you just kind of feel that. Interestingly, with quite a lot of people as well, I've spoken recently with some people who are sound therapists and people who are professional musicians, and it tends to be that music can be a portal in that way. So there's an Indian word which is ritam, which means, well, ritam means truth really, but the ability to experience in a more refined way is something which comes where the mind and the five senses are operating simultaneously. So as you were saying, there's something, you are accessing that to some degree when you mention Kurt Cobain and John Wheeler. There's something there that you're sensing.
Yeah.
And but you can also experience it in music. So with or with poetry, it can happen in lots of sensory ways. It can be triggered with a smell, for instance. The way people generally who aren't aware of their infinite nature have those kind of experiences, it tends to be through triggers. Quite often it can be like a memory. For instance, when you were, say, I don't know, 14 or 15, you could have had quite an intense experience, and playing in the background was a particular piece of music. And if you're just not on your guard and it comes on the radio or something, then it can put you straight back into that space, and then you can have that, you can kind of relive that experience on the level of the five senses. So you can, the images, the feelings, the emotions and the sensory experiences of that moment just come back to you.
Yeah.
But those experiences can develop more from effortless being, because they're actually arising within the body of wisdom, and they're much closer to the realm of bliss. And in a simple way, the thing to know is that the conceptual realm is quite mundane in a way, because if we're entertaining concepts, they tend to be quite they can tend, well, they're, as Lester Levinson says, every concept is a limitation. So they can be quite bland in some ways, whereas following the feelings much towards the body of bliss, there's much more enrichment there, and it's totally effortless. So it's almost like surfing. You just kind of get to kind of feel your way through things, and it's probably easier for females than males, because males, the way the male mind is structured, it tends to be much more, you know, the conceptual aspect seems to be more predominant, really.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's great. But the dualistic realm, there are different ways to explain it, but the dualistic realm is distinct from our infinite nature. So what you could say is the intelligence coming from one's infinite nature is divine intelligence or God's intelligence. So it's a combination of infinite intelligence with infinite love. Whereas the intelligence operating in the dualistic realm is quite often a combination of things like intelligence and fear. So the way to see the dualistic realm is it's more like a big computer game in one way, because the rules that are in operation in the dualistic realm are quite different to the ones in unity. So in the body of wisdom and the body of bliss, they're both effortless, whereas effort predominates in the mental, emotional, and physical realms. The mental realm is something we've been conditioned into since childhood. And so it tends to be comparison and that kind of thing. But we can feel it energetically, like, so if we take intuition can result in things like a feeling of expansion, whereas the mental realm can take us into limitation, and there can be a feeling of contraction, you know, with certain thoughts and certain invitations. But it is, the dualistic realm is a self-contained energetic construct in a way. So, so when we're in there, because it involves effort, there are certain things at play. So with the establishment of effortless being, what you find is effortlessness finds its way into the mental realm. So we're not so engaged with the polarities. So, well, as you notice, like the way I have conversations, I never really get into opposition with anyone. You know, sometimes people say something that I don't agree with, but I tend not to be, you know, aggressively kind of firm about it. I just kind of let it go, because in some ways, just maintaining a sense of ease is more important than, because the thing is with concepts, they're all variable in a way. But in terms of our own experience, the mental realm is something that you find effortless being finds its way into that. So it isn't so necessary. You know, sometimes there are patterns. So you know, within families, you find that certain characters in one's family, they have, you know, they can have, or friends we have, they have quite a big investment in some kind of belief or something. And it isn't necessary really to get into conflict over those things. Sometimes it's necessary to be firm and explain, but you know, then just to let it go. But with the mind, so once the mind becomes easier, because we don't have to kind of, the mind prior to realization it's quite often reinforcing the sense of illusory self. So it's a set of beliefs, really. But once we let go of those, then the mind tends to be much more fluid. And then that has an effect on the emotions, because we're not, the emotions tend to be triggered from the mental realm. So the emotions tend to, you know, to become easier. and then physical health can improve as well, because physical health, the basis of physical health really is balanced emotions. That's that's certainly one of the most important aspects.
Right. Yeah.
But I use the Gnostic version to explain the dualistic realm. So, well, in Hinduism, they talk of the yugas. So they say that there are these yugas, so the Golden Age, the Silver Age, the Bronze Age, and the Iron Age. So the current age we're experiencing is the Iron Age, which is, it's actually when the element of love has declined. So in the Golden Age, in Satyuga, there's a combination of infinite intelligence with infinite love, which results in infinite possibilities and infinite harmony. So that would be the way the creation looked in Satyuga. In Kali Yuga, because the element of love has declined, it's become a kind of predatory realm.
Yeah.
And it's things like the food chain and competition and people taking advantage of others and all of that. So it's like an energy game. But the thing to know is that the intelligence which is administering the dualistic realm is an independent form of intelligence, which in Gnosticism they call the demiurge. So it's like infinite intelligence, or certainly a high level of intelligence, but without the element of love.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So if we look at the world as it is at the moment, you can see all of the structures here, like the religions, the governments, the media, the health system, the financial system, all of those systems, the legal system, the education system, they're all actually predatory systems. It is like a big play in one respect. It's like a big movie. But the reason for you showing up in this realm, you're actually you are obviously the infinite being in your true infinite nature. But in the role of Romy, your purpose for showing up in this realm, you're not native to this realm. I'm sure you can feel that.
No. Yes, always.
And but the reason is that you're in your in your life experience, you're a representative of the infinite being. Your purpose for being here is to assist in that transformation that's taking place.
Wow. Yeah.
And but you can see that lots of people, there is realization, lots of the beings who came here, because the general experience, I'm not sure how it was for you, but with a lot of kind of volunteers, the experience they have through childhood and through the earlier part of their life is very challenging, because I can sense with you, you're hypersensitive. And so the experiences from when you were really young, quite often the invitations are very extreme, because you feel things really deeply, and it's because of the sensitivity that you have, and you can see other beings suffering, and you just can't make sense of it, and it just seems completely alien, really, which is why most people embark on a spiritual search to try to make sense of what's going on. The benefit of understanding that there is this secondary intelligence which is administering the dualistic realm makes everything much easier to understand. Because with things like psychology and psychotherapy and psychiatry, they quite often say, oh, we have all these subconscious programs and we have all of these limitations, but nobody says where they come from.
It has also held me back a little bit from maybe allowing the last step, as far as that's even a word. The language is difficult. I don't want to speak from like ego stuff, but I noticed that there was some holding back, although I knew the truth somewhere.
Yes.
But I was holding back, thinking I can't save myself from this, become whatever, happy, peaceful, while the other thing is going on. I need to fight or something like that. So I was really immersed, and like you indeed sensed, I followed everything, and in all languages I speak, which is German, Dutch, and English, I followed the news in all of them, in all of the countries, and yeah, you see the same thing happening all over the place, and it's just incredible.
Yes.
But now, without me asking it, you already said it, that there is that's probably a role that I'm supposed to be playing, or
exactly.
As long as the form is here, it's not either or. It is.
Well, it's really that everything in this realm has led to mind predominance. So it's the idea that if we engage the mind, then we can resolve these issues. And if you look at, lots of aspects of the structures in the world and the ones that many people have become aware of, but becoming aware of those structures and the sort of energetic implications of this experience, if they're seen from the level of individuality, it can still be very painful and not very fruitful in a way. But well, putting it simply, all the beings who realize their true nature and function from effortless being, they're like these portals of light within this dualistic construct. So the matrix is a polarized, it's like a big, polarized energetic electromagnetic construct. All of the forms, they have that polarized energy. But functioning from effortless being is non-polar. So it's unity. And so the knowledge you need to actually be in service to one's infinite nature comes through, and the guidance you receive on how to function most effectively and help in the best possible way comes through effortlessly.
Yeah. Okay, there it is again. Yeah. Yeah, I forgot. Yeah.
So you're really just guided. So as you say, there are different ways. The way it came to me was effortlessly, but it's in the early days, definitely one-to-one conversations were much more effective, because if you're having a conversation there, it's a sort of energetic, there's an energetic component to the conversation, but also you can sort of help to fine tune certain things so that it becomes clear. Whereas if it's group meetings, it's very difficult to do that, because all the questions are coming from individuality, really. So there isn't any, you can answer the questions, but they're not actually leading to the realization.
No, that's true. It's an endless game.
Yeah.
Ping pong, something. Yeah. I noticed.
But, in terms of the solution and in terms of your role, it's really knowing that the infinite being knows how to resolve everything. And so just being available, really. So it isn't that you need to plan anything or that you need to create anything on a mental level. It's whatever inspiration is required and whatever way you serve, your infinite nature, that'll be delivered to you.
Yeah, it's really coming from a
and it's actually on the basis of all the abilities that you already have. So all the tendencies you have, like the tendencies you have, which go back to childhood, it's really apparent that lots of the childlike qualities are still there for you, which is really nice. They haven't been lost in the world.
No.
And also
they came back.
They
were lost, really. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so the way you'll be guided is just that, in a way, it's just the simple choice, which I sense you've already made, really, which is that you're in service to your infinite nature rather than in service to individuality. Because even spiritual seeking on one level is being in service to individuality. But with realization, it's just being available and knowing that whatever needs to come through comes through effortlessly. So it's the people you meet. It's really the way everything's happened. With all the people I've had conversations with, it's all happened effortlessly. There hasn't been any you know, there hasn't been any plan really. It's just the way it's unfolded because it's just kind of guided.
Yeah.
And it's just much more effective than anything the mind could ever conceive of.
So true. And it feels like there are some like jokes built in, or that's maybe also the telepathy, or what you were mentioning, those things that are happening. I had a couple, like one, for example, I was sitting in my car and just wanted to check the makeup quickly in the mirror that's outside of the car. You know what I mean? So,
yes.
And I don't know for what reason, you know, the window and a cloud was blocking it. I don't know what happened. I couldn't see my reflection in the mirror. And there was again like this laughter, like this is so funny. This is my face. This is really it. No, but it really happened in real life.
Yeah, fantastic. That's great. I love that.
Those things keep happening. It's really like a curious sort of journey. And I noticed there's more curiosity. Like, oh, let's see what's happening now. Or so there's no boredom. That's interesting as well, because there was always some sort of underlying dullness or boredom, or so. That's funny. And other things, I read The Sound of Silence in a book. They quoted it. I think it was John Grieven, who also had something with John Wheeler.
Yes.
Then last weekend we went to the Christmas market, and then someone was playing The Sound of Silence. And then later I wanted to show a WhatsApp message of someone that sent something to me 2 years ago, and I didn't even realize, but he was saying, "Yeah, I'm, you know, here I am from The Sound of Silence," and it was like 3 times.
Yes.
Within 3 hours.
Yeah, that's fantastic. You know? Well, that's effortless being. Just saying I'm really here. That you know, just it's kind of demonstrating how effortlessly and effectively things come through to you, and that it is always effortless. It's being alert to the things which come to you without any trying. That's the key, really.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it's like playful somehow. Yeah.
But it's amazing. You're really lucky that you have the clarity in terms of realization, but also you've seen the nature of the dualistic realm in a much wider and deeper way than most people have, because there are quite a few people who realize their true nature, but they still believe that this world is God's world.
And it's maybe a nice one to mention, but I was born in East Germany, in Dresden.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Yeah. So the first 10 years of my life, I also had communism, and, you know, at school, the history classes were all, you know, a certain way. With a certain truth. Yeah, it's really interesting. And when I was 12, 13, my mom left Germany together with my little brother and me. And that had all to do also with a quite traumatic, that's like what you're always saying is also true in my case. So
so you had those
in childhood. So we had a stepfather that was alcoholic, and really, we couldn't get away from him in Germany because he kept finding us.
Yes.
So we had to escape somehow, and then due to some, it looks like coincidences, but maybe that it wasn't. We ended up in the Netherlands, and we had to cut off contact with everyone. So nobody was allowed to know where we are, including my real father and my best friend, etc. So that was quite tough. Of course, on one hand, as it was after let's say the first, my childhood was quite challenging.
It figures.
I heard it so many times in your conversations, and I thought, there we go. It also helps because I know exactly who I can't trust, like from miles away, which is really nice.
Yes.
So I have really great experiences, especially with men. Always, I never have any bad.
Fantastic.
So it has, of course, afterwards it does make sense somehow.
Yes.
You see it. But what it did historically is that for 2 or 3 years after the wall came down, I was still in Germany, and then I got West German history lessons, and they were quite different.
Right.
All of a sudden, Russia was the enemy, which was always our big brother before. So and I thought, that's how funny, and it's all truth. This is how it is,
Yes.
And everybody has to believe it. And then I went to history lessons when I was 13 in the Netherlands, and that was different again. So that has helped me already questioning so much.
Amazing, isn't it?
I have been doing for many years And that came because of Eli and Gangaji. Eli is also teaching the Enneagram. I don't know if you ever heard of that one, the 9 personality types. And back then, having the skeptical type, the skeptic loyalist, I thought it's going to be something like a horoscope. If you look at it long enough, you'll see it, and it's probably bullshit. But because he did it, I thought, let's give it a try. And then I was really blown away. So that happened years ago. And I've been teaching the Enneagram ever since. And I've always been doing it from within the organization, from within the corporation. And I always felt it's also not my path, at least it hasn't been so far, to become one of the thousands of coaches or trainers that are out there. I thought if this is true and if it works, it has to work from within.
Yes.
Ambition and, whatever happens, in companies normally, right? All the politics and all of that. So I have offered it for free, and it's just optional. Nobody needs to go there. And to teach the Enneagram, and it's kind of sort of like a team building thing, which was amazing because people get close to each other by holding each other's hair and vomiting after having drinks, which is kind of bonding. And right. But many people have told me that one of those days, having the Enneagram, getting to know yourself, your own type, but also of the others, and you immediately see all your family and your partner and your ex and all of them. It just comes and you can't unsee it anymore. They say it's bringing people so much closer on such a deeper level than having drinks ever could.
Yes.
So that is where it started years ago. And it's so great that you also said you're never initiating anything, right? Things come to you, and if they come, you respond, right?
They're the things to respond to, actually. Anything that comes from nowhere, whereas anything that requires planning isn't the way.
It's not exactly. And that's how I did the Enneagram, because there have been doubts throughout the years thinking, hey, isn't this reinforcing the personality even more? Isn't it reinforcing the differences, the egos, etc.? But actually it is a sneaky way in, just like the work of Byron Katie is. It looks like you're fighting the thoughts or you're inquiring thoughts, but question 4, who or what are you without the thoughts? It's just a sneaky way to bring you right there, right?
That's fantastic, actually, the way you describe it. Yeah, because it's the it's the beginning of the kind of witnessing of the personal realm, isn't it? Really, because you're kind of looking at the personal realm from the body of wisdom without even realizing that that's what they're doing.
That's it. It's a great trick, I think, to play the ego even, because you forget everything else. You focus on the one thing that really, really bothers you. Nothing else, and then who or what are you without? And so it's really powerful. So that's also something I'm using at work if people have problems, etc. So it's a nice one in. But what happened lately with the Enneagram? So I thought about not doing it anymore for quite some time. And every time people come to me and ask if I can do it again, if we can have it, etc., or they heard it from others. Some people, their lives have changed, which I didn't even know. Because all of a sudden, they had a relationship again with some family member, and the family member never did anything. It's just something shifted in them,
and then they changed the relationship. Yeah,
that's right. But what I notice now, because it has been in the past always a spiritual tool anyhow, the Enneagram, which is something I've never used it for because it's work, right?
Yes.
So you stay on a safe area, and I only go there when I notice someone is open to it, and it's usually only one-on-one. But that just happens by itself.
Wow, amazing.
So, that is really, and I just got triggered now since I'm talking with you that this might be one of the ways. I'm not sure. This could be one of those,
The thing that I would say is that your potential actually goes way beyond the Enneagram, because and it's a case of accepting that possibility, because I think what you'll find is that the combination of realization and the clarity that's available to you, and also understanding that the dualistic system is an independent energy system. What I feel is that there'll be a combination of the knowledge that you already have from the Enneagram, plus with realization, plus understanding how to decline the invitations and how to explain that. But you'll probably formulate your very own system, to help people to be liberated, realize their true nature without even realizing that's what they've.
Yes, that's it. Yeah.
So that, but that's a key part of it, because lots of, I mean, it's great that you're, to hear your story and the way life has progressed anyway, because the challenges and limitations which were there in the earlier part of your life, you've really broken free from them anyway, haven't you? Hugely. So,
yes,
that's fantastic. But it's realizing that your potential is infinite, and that's the nature of the beings who do come here representing the infinite being, and letting go of any sense of limitation in terms of what your potential is really important, because they're and also to know that every aspect of your experience and knowledge is exactly what's required for your personal direction. So everything that is needed is exactly what you've already done. That's the way it works. There isn't anything that you need to seek. All the abilities are just innate abilities. The knowledge you have is perfect knowledge. The experiences you've had, it's all perfect. So the way things unfold, it'll be on the basis of everything that you already have at hand. You have everything that you need already. There isn't anything lacking. And it's just realizing that. So if things come in and you're directed, it's just having that sense of faith that everything's already available. So there needs to be no doubt at all.
Yeah. So how do you deal with family that really knows you really well, and they have no idea about self-realization, or they don't want to, that one I still find a bit
challenging.
Yeah, you don't want to talk about it because you would be locked in a madhouse if you did, right?
Yeah. Well,
but I do find it's tough.
It is, but I think we all go through the process of, when we wake up to what's going on in the world, certainly we want to share it with others, and then they talk to us as though we're complete nutters. But really, it's the neutrality is the key. Really, that's my approach.
Okay.
Whatever's going on, I don't entertain it on a personal level. So,
but don't you find that you have to be dishonest sometimes, because you're not David, but they keep referring to you? You know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah. Well, it's really that the personal realm of experience is like a character in a play. So you're the infinite being, which is like an actor. The infinite being can play any role. It's currently playing the role of Romy without ever becoming Romy, because Romy is a character in the movie. So sometimes you have to, you just sort of revert to the way they see you. Like you find, especially with the older members of the family, they see you, they'll see you as still, you're just this little girl. You don't know anything.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
But it doesn't really matter. That's all the game.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure. I think it's slightly different. You've been liberated from this in a way because of your life experience, but I moved back to my hometown quite a few years ago now. So there are lots of people here that I've known for years, and so they still see me as I was when I was in my teens, and some of them, their lives haven't really evolved. So I can only have a conversation. I have a friend who, when we were in our teens, we were interested in things like cars and motorbikes. So when I see him, that's all we can talk about.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's but it's just the fun of the whole thing, really, because it doesn't. Those aspects, they can just be a lot of fun, really. But yeah, you have the most amazing potential, and just explaining your circumstances as they are at the moment, I think you have amazing potential to really help transform consciousness hugely.
Yeah.
But it's realizing your clarity in terms of realization, and the subtlety in the way you see the distinction between impersonal being and the personal realm of experience, is, that is very precise, and it's something that you, I think what you'll find, because it's quite early days, is you'll listen to quite a few teachers, spiritual teachers. Well, you may have lost interest in listening to many of them now, but the ones you do, you'll detect the ones who are still in the sort of fluffy version, thinking this is God's world, because most of the mainstream non-duality teachers, they're presenting something which is just, I can't see how anyone can, where there can be
so
real
true.
connection, because it's a fake perspective that they're putting forward.
Yeah, nobody was ever realized. I followed them for years, not necessarily, but I've seen the people. I mean, it doesn't happen. It really doesn't. And John Wheeler was really clear about that one also.
Yes. Yeah.
He really mentioned those as well.
Yeah.
That also listening to that reinforced the knowing.
Well, no, yeah.
Because he keeps going back, and
Yeah.
And I've heard so many other things as well that indeed they just keep you away from it.
Yes.
It's
yeah. Well, the religions do. The people I had conversations with, the most difficult nuts to crack are the ones who have been indoctrinated most deeply into religion. So,
wow,
but you couldn't even go there.
No.
Fortunately, there are very few of those. Most, as I say, most people I have conversations with are like you, where they're actually in service to the infinite being, and it's only, I just seem to have this job of kind of helping to just trigger them into realizing, their true nature. But it's and in a way, that's how it's worked for me. That's why I've been able to continue with the one-to-one conversations. It's all guided, really. It's really only the people who are kind of representatives of the infinite being that I have conversations with, and they're the ones where there's the realization quite rapidly. Really, the only thing of value is just being in service to one's infinite nature, and because that's when everything is just on the most amazing level, because everything is taken care of. You sense, with infinite intelligence, the way it guides exactly the right people for a conversation. It regulates the number of people coming so that, one isn't overburdened. And you can just see that. So the priority really is in, and this makes sense in a way, because when you know that effortless being is what you truly are, then life should be joyful. So with every aspect of your life experience, any area where you can prioritize a sense of ease and lightness and joy, not, feel overburdened. I think, guilt is one of the things really.
Yes.
Plays a big part in people's lives. The more self-respect there is, and the more balance and prioritizing a sense of ease and lightness and enrichment in your daily experience, then that's the best way, because everything can happen, because everything of value comes from effortless being. The more closely we can align with effortless being in our daily experience, the less friction there is in the delivery of what we need to come from our infinite nature.
Yeah. That is something I had to hear it from you. That would have never, I don't think it would have come up. It's probably also the German conditioning. You can't, you can't relax. You have to work hard. You have to earn everything. That, if anything good should happen to you, you have to work hard for it. All of that. There's quite some, and of course the eternal guilt you're already born with.
Yes.
It's really, So that one. Thanks for saying that again. The effortlessness, the ease. Yeah, that's right. That is right.
It should be. Life should be like living in the Garden of Eden, where everything is easy. It's balanced. You have time. You never do anything out of fear. Never do anything with a sense of hope. Just do it in a nice, calm way, and then you find everything just clicks into place, because it's that alignment with effortless being, on the human level, which enables effortless being to come to the fore in one's experience. Whereas if we're in the realm of effort, then it's like, you know, it's creating friction really. So the flow from our infinite nature isn't so clear then really.
No. Yeah, it's impossible. It's hopeless, really. You can't. Yeah, really, truly.
Yeah.
I've been there for really. Yeah. Yes, it's incredible. It's just now reading, for example, Being-Consciousness-Bliss. It's completely clear. It makes total sense.
Yeah.
Can't be any other way. If you're aware of being, there is bliss. That's it. Yes. It's a consequence.
Yes.
But yeah, if you don't know that and you're looking for bliss or at least alleviation of suffering, that would be nice.
Yeah.
And then reading those old words again, and all of a sudden, like, how can you miss it? Yeah, it's so true. And that is, in a way, it's effortlessness as well. Of course.
It is. And for you, it's giving yourself credit as well, because you're actually way in advance of most of the teachers. Mm-hmm. Because firstly, there is clarity and realization. Also, there is no ego with you, really. And the other is you understand the dualistic realm of experience and what's going on in that sense. So that combination is very powerful, and it's quite rare, really. So it's just kind of recognizing that. So, you know, when things come through, just have the confidence to go with them, because some amazing things can happen.
Yeah. It's the trust again. Trust, faith. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Basically, it's not faith, it's knowing.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
It's knowing, really. You don't even, there's no space for any faith, really, because you are already it.
Yeah. Unbelievable, really. Well, I had some what ifs and yes buts written down that I thought, as they came up, I would like to ask you, but it's
Well, I'm very happy to answer any questions if there are any, but you probably, the thing to know for you especially is from your sovereignty, the answer to any question will come to you, and your own, the version that's delivered to you is the one that's most effective, because part of the conditioning we've had is the idea that there are these external authorities, when actually there aren't. That you're the supreme authority in terms of knowing the direction and the course of action for you to take, and it'll because the intuition that comes through you is so specific to your own experience. Nobody else could ever know that, not the most enlightened being.
Yeah.
And you'll also see with, you know, if you do see any other teachers or read anything, you'll trust your own inner knowing over and above what anyone is saying. And I'm sure you recognize that already, actually.
That you're saying it, I do. I didn't before. But I noticed that I did trust it without admitting it to myself.
Yes.
That's probably it.
It's being available, being effortlessly available to help people when they're seeking realization, and that's happening even more effortlessly. Like, there are more people realizing their true nature from watching videos on my channel than from having one-to-one conversations now. Because, you know, that's amazing, really.
Incredible.
But the aspect that, you know, is continuing to evolve is helping people to become free of suffering, because the understanding that the thoughts and emotions aren't our own, it's a delivery system, and discovering how that operates, and becoming proficient at utilizing it, and remaining out of the energetic implications of it is something that we can learn on a practical level, that's the thing. Lots of people seeking realization are seeking an end to suffering, but actually the end to suffering is in understanding the dualistic system, because self-realization in itself doesn't necessarily bring that. There's still personalization. Yeah.
And I thought the other part that you also talked about, the politics in the world, the dualistic, I thought that was like a hindrance, but actually it's not.
No,
it gives more depth to what I
yes.
can do.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh my God, that's why I was, okay.
But remaining, the thing is with, so what you'll find with that kind of content is that also, when you align, well, because you're aligned with effortless being, you find that the content which is of value will come through, but a lot of the peripheral stuff which isn't really of value but can preoccupy us tends not to come forward. But with the dualistic realm, you'll find that the ability to become free of suffering is something which becomes more and more apparent, as you understand the dualistic system, because you have a really deep understanding of it already, but the personalization of that can make it even, it can draw us back into the energetic aspect, which is, because if it's disturbing us emotionally, then we're still fueling the matrix. So just knowing that it's really declining the invitations on a personal and a collective level. So on a personal level, they can be invitations coming in through the mind, the emotions. They can come in any form of text message or memory or anything. But they're coming collectively through things like the mainstream media. And the alternative media, because a lot of the alternative media is corrupted as well.
The moment it happens again, my energy is being drained, or there's some re-identification, I feel a contraction.
Yes.
And then immediately I remember your effortless being, the magic.
Yes.
And then I for now this has worked, and I really hope I'm not losing it again. But,
well, it becomes much easier because initially the invitations are still delivered for a little while. But then it becomes just second nature not to take delivery of them, because feel it energetically, because effortless being, is silent and it's still and it's joyful. Whereas an invitation coming in has that frequency of contraction. So that's the contraction. You can see that as your intuition, really. It's saying, hang on a minute, Romy, you don't need to go here.
That's it. Right. Even that is a helpful, lovely thing.
That if you utilize it as intuition, it's telling you, it's like an option. It's like a little alarm going off saying, are you sure you want to go here into this?
Wow. Indeed. Yeah.
And then it becomes really easy, and then the invitations don't show up.
Yeah. That's so helpful. Thank you. Really.
But it'll be really interesting to see the way things evolve because of your knowledge with the Enneagram, person experience, and with realizations. Some amazing things can come from that.
Interesting combination. It's very exciting somehow.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Fantastic. It's been amazing to meet you.
Well, really, likewise. Incredible, really. Thank you so much.